Well, thank you for joining us, everyone, this morning. Another record breakout for our Zoom training. It's a pleasure to be with you on this Saturday morning. We have a special guest who's with us on his Friday afternoon, which is kind of cool. We can let him know that Saturday is going to be okay. So we have, Tony's going to bounce back with me as well. Tony Mark Seymour from the South Australia team. He's just been away celebrating his 25th wedding anniversary with his wife. So let's just recognise 25 hard years that Mandy's put in with Tony. Congratulations, Mandy. Great job done. Let her know, Tony.
Yep, thank you for that.
But let's head over to our special guest, J Wadsworth. He is known as the father of Noni. He's one of the biggest reasons why Noni was brought to the world. And I'm not going to go too much more into his story because he's actually going to tell us his story, and he tells it so well. And he's going to bring us from the past and into the future, his knowledge and depth of Noni and the importance of that for our body and our business and, well, just absolutely everything. And John, is an absolute pleasure to have him on this training with us today. John, can I pass it over to you and kind of let you lead in for us?
Well, thank you, Sarah. Tony called me earlier today and just prepping me for this call, and I gotta tell you that my heart has been palpitating ever since Tony called me about an hour ago, just filled with excitement to once again see your faces and to say hi and to let you know that I'm alive and I'm still here. I just won't give up. So Tony, if you're okay, I can just start by telling the story, and Sarah, I'll take about 10 minutes. I'll do a short version of that, if that's okay.
Perfect.
All right, so one of the great privileges of my life is to be involved with the creation and the development of Noni in the marketplace. Of course, the great God of heaven created Noni, and I only was part of it in bringing it to the market. Today, superfoods is a very common term, and if you looked up on Google to find the definition of superfood, you might see a definition that's simply it's a natural food packed with compounds and different things that provide good health to people that really help to improve health. Superfood is actually a term coined by the Noni movement. So Noni may not be the first superfood, but it is the first superfood that was brought to the marketplace. And so I was there at the very beginning, and it was just a lot of fun. I was a lot younger. It was about 30 years ago when I heard someone in the neighborhood say, I just got back from Tahiti. There's a fruit over there called nono, and it helps people with diabetes. And so I was able to make contact with a family that knew English there in Papeete. And we conversed for months and months and months. This was before you could just do FaceTime with people. You had to call long distance on a telephone then. And the conversation was really me encouraging them to send me a sample of the product Nono because I needed to be able to study it. After many months, a sample finally arrived at my office, and it was in a tattered box, and I didn't know what to do with it. I pulled it out of the box, and it was a large bottle with a wide mouth lid with a newspaper between the lid and the bottle, and there was whole fruit, a leaf, and a branch in that bottle with a dark solution surrounding it. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just pushed it aside and tried to find a project to work on. After several weeks or months, I decided to open the bottle, and so I brought it close to me on my desk, and I started twisting that lid. And as I twisted that, the seal was broken, and there was this gas released, I can still remember the sound. It was a shh, and the room was filled with this odor that was just really awful. And so I hurried and put the lid back on and pushed it aside. And it was several months later that I decided to clean up the sample. And so I opened it up, I cleaned up the sample the best I could, and then I decided to write a protocol for a short practical study with a person with that had diabetes. I've never had diabetes, and so I had to find a subject, and it took me a while to find one because once they smelled the sample, they didn't want to take it. I finally found a subject. We went through this program for 3 weeks. We were very careful. We took the product twice a day together to make sure that he would take it. And at the end of the study, I summarized the results, and the results showed that it did not help this young man. It didn't change his blood sugar. And so I thought it was a joke because it smelled so bad and it tastes so bad that I thought, oh, these Tahitians are just funny people. They're playing a joke on me. And so I actually gathered up all the material and put it on the top shelf in my office. Didn't think I'd ever address it again. Shortly after that, a woman came to the office and said, I've got a cold. I can't get rid of this cold. Is there something that you could do to help me get rid of this cold? I said, sure, as a joke. I gave her a sample and asked her to take it for 7 days and then come back. She came back 7 days, and I says, did it help your cold? And she says, I don't know if it helped my cold, but I really feel like it helped my arthritis. And so I says, there might be something here. So I set up a practical study with people with arthritic pain. That study was very successful. And so because of that, I set up another study with people with diabetes, with type 2 diabetic. And that study was very successful. So the first diabetic was a type 1. And so this was before Google, before you could just ask Google a question. You had to go to places like a library to do research. And so I went to the local library and tried to find something on NONO, and there was nothing that could be found. And so I didn't know what else to do but to go to Tahiti. And so I made arrangements with this family to go to Tahiti. This was a time that my partner, Stephen Story, we didn't have a lot of money. We were sort of struggling at this time. And so I had very little money. I had a few credit cards. And so I took the credit cards and the very little money I had and went to Tahiti and then would sleep on the floor of this family in Papeete. I was there for 3 weeks. And first week I found a translator, and we stood on the corner of a busy intersection in Papeete. And as people walked by, I would ask through the translator, what can you tell me about NONO? And everybody had a story to tell. And it was about their uncle or their aunt or their grandmother or their child or their mother, how when they got ill, they would administer this Noni solution and it would really benefit them. And so as I was going through this day after day, hearing these stories, my confidence started to increase, and I was feeling pretty good about being there, and I thought we were going to really do something good. And so we started looking around the island of Tahiti to see if there was a lot of NONO, because my confidence was so great that we needed a lot of fruit to make sure that we had enough to support a large company. And there was some, but not enough. And so we went to Moorea, and there was some, but not enough. And so we went to Huahine and Tahaha and those islands in the Society Islands that were rather close. And there was some, but not enough. And so I kept asking the question, where can I go find a lot of NONO? All during this period as we were trying to find this fruit. And the answer was, you must go to Marquesas. And so I'd ask the translator, where's Marquesas? Well, it's about 1,000 miles to the north. And there's a different dialect there, so we'll have to take another translator, one that knows Marquesian, because I don't know Marquesian. And I says, okay. since it's so expensive to go there, and there's 3 tickets that we have to buy, can you call ahead and make sure there's enough fruit, enough nono? And he says, sure. So he calls ahead and comes back and says, John, there's a lot of nono over there, and they're just so excited for you to come over and gather it up. They'll help you gather it up. You can put it in a box and you can take it home with you. And I said, okay, but I don't want a box. I want a truckload. Can you call again just to make sure there's a lot of nono there? And he comes back after the second call and says, yeah, there's a lot of nono. And so I'm still a little nervous because I learned that the airfare is very expensive to go over there. And so I say, please call once more and just make sure. Talk to somebody else this time. And so he says, I talked to somebody else and they assure me that there's a lot of nono over there. And so I go down, and with my credit cards, I buy these 3 tickets. We get on the plane the next day, and Tevai makes these trips all the time. And they're nice planes that you make these trips on now. But in those days, nearly 30 years ago, the plane was small. It was very loud. Not a lot of people on the plane, but it just shakes the whole time you're flying over this, the ocean. And you first land in Ivaoa, and then you take off for a short hop to Nukuhiva. And it takes 4 hours to get to Nukuhiva. And by then you're just sort of a wreck because the noise has been just deafening, and you've been shaken the whole time. And so we're in this little terminal in Nukuhiva, and we finally find a ride, and it's in an old rusted out Jeep. And they put me in the back seat of this Jeep, and we then start going up to the top of the mountain to the other side to the little village that we're going to. There's no beaches on these islands in Marquesas because the islands just shoot out of the water. So you're in this Jeep, and it's just a really rough road because it rains a lot and it's washed out, and you have to go really slow, and it takes 4.5 hours to get over the mountain to the other side. And we stop at this little 1-room hut, and this family has made arrangements for us to sleep there. And the translator is over yapping with the family, and they're having a good old time, and I'm just standing in the corner waiting for direction. And after a while, the translator comes over to me and says, John, we've got a problem. And I'm thinking, oh, come on, what's the problem? Couldn't be more difficult than the plane ride or the Jeep ride. Please just tell me what it is. And he says, well, all the time that I've called over here, there is a lot of nono, but the word nono in Marquesian is a mosquito, and the word for the fruit is noni. And that's the first time I've ever heard the word noni. And it was just devastating news to me. I felt so stupid. I felt so alone that I've spent all this money to find a mosquito, and I was actually, it just sort of hit me. I was tired anyway, but it hit me really hard. And so I looked at the translator and says, man, this is just too hard for me. I don't want to do it anymore. People are laughing at me anyway, and so I just want to go home. Please take me home. Tomorrow, let's go. And he says, well, that's another problem. The plane doesn't come back for 3 more days. So we were stuck on that island of Nukuhiva for 3 days. The first day we just drove the island and we saw some noni fruit, but my heart wasn't in it. I was trying to think of another project. I was trying to figure out how to save myself and my partner and my family. And the next day we drove all morning and didn't find a lot of noni, but some. It was towards the end of that second day that I started feeling a little better, because the next day I go home. And we stopped on this mountain. We got out of the Jeep just to rest our legs, and I walked across the road, and I could see this valley There was large white billowing clouds in the sky. The rays of the sun were piercing through those clouds to the valley below, and the valley was filled with this Noni product. And I just thought, wow, that is amazing. And there was an impression that came to me that still is with me today. And it was just a moment of time that changed me. And it was this impression that this fruit will bless the lives of millions of people and also bless the lives of the people in Tahiti. And I changed from that moment. It was just so incredible. And even though I felt all alone really during that time in Nuku Hiva, I came away from there thinking that no matter what's in front of us, we're going to do this. And so we had to figure out how to pick the fruit and how to harvest it and how to process it, because picking, of course, had been done before, but not in large scale. And the processing really hadn't been done before. And so it took actually some time to figure that out. And that's what created Mirinda. And Mirinda was such a great company and is still today. And that was what created the superfood industry, was Noni. So there was no really coined superfoods before Noni, and it was the craze around Noni and Mirinda that started this superfood dimension in the marketplace. And the thing of it is, I was telling Tony earlier today that I was the only one on that mountain, and so this thing is part of me, and it's inside of me, and I can't, because of that, I can't stop and I can't quit. And so I will just continue to do this until the good Lord says you can't do it anymore and it's time to come home, and I'll just give up. But I've met such great people over the nearly 3 decades that I've been doing this, and people that I love, and I hope that they love me, and I hope that they still like me, and that kind of thing. But we've done so much good over the years, and there's still so much more to do. And so now, as you know, that I separated from Mirinda for a few years ago, and now I'm back, and I'm just so thrilled to be back. I guess it doesn't matter why I separated. It matters more that I'm back. And I still have energy. I still have good health. And I'm still just so grateful for the experience that I had, and that it still drives me. And I am able to get back together with some of the people that I just dearly love and appreciate. And I know that NewAge has been working on some new products, some new Noni products that I'm just getting more acquainted with, and I'm just really excited about them. And NewAge tried to, before we joined together, Dave Vanderveen, you probably know Dave Vanderveen, he and I were talking, and he says, we sort of got away from the Noni because of the new owners. We were trying to see what we could create, and we pulled too far away from the original feeling and the culture of Noni. And so we're coming back, and we want to come back to that original thing, and that's why we want to get together with you. And so I says, well, I certainly have the energy and the health to do it, and so I want to do it. And so I'm just getting reacquainted. I'm getting this whole thing is just so amazing to me, and I'm just grateful. And so that's the story in a very shortened version, but it's still real to me, and it still pierces my heart, and it still drives me. And there's a spirit about it that I just will not leave me. And for me, that's okay. I'll just do it until can't do it anymore, which I think is another 20 years. So let's just keep going.
That's fantastic, John. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Um, First of all, I was so happy to speak to you this morning. But I just want to assure you, I mean, the people that know you, when they think of Miranda, they think of John Wadsworth. And out of the 5 founders, you had a very, very special part in my heart, and was always the first person that would come up and shake my hand and say, glad to see you, Tony. You took an interest in people, and you came across as someone with honesty and integrity, and someone that really cared. And it wasn't about the money. It was about helping people and taking this fruit to the world. And to me, you were Noni. So the part, when you left, there was a part of all of us that went with you, John. So, just so happy, to have you part. And I'm sure people on this call that know you would 100% agree with what I'm saying here. So I'm so excited. I was so excited when Sarah said to me, why don't we get John on the call? And I said, well, that'd be fantastic if you could. So I appreciate Sarah reaching out as well and making this happy. But glad to hear that you're in the office, NewAge office in American Fort, working together with David and Julie and Brent. So it's a fantastic time in the history of this company, I believe. And so we've got this conference coming up next month. I hope we can get more people to it. I can't wait, to see you in person, John, once again. And hopefully this really motivates people on this call that, the company's heading in the right direction. We're getting the right people. And Noni was what really got me excited. It wasn't all the other products. It was just the original Tahitian Noni juice and what it did for me and my family and people that I shared it with. So we're getting back to the roots of really what made Noni what it was. It was the fastest growing company, back in the late 90s. It was the fastest growing company in network marketing because of this product and what it did for people. So we're getting back to the roots. So I'm excited, John, to have you back and part of the team and just want to welcome you. And I'm sure people will feel exactly the same as me, John. So just wanted to say that, mate.
Well, thank you, Tony. And I'm very excited to be back and to be engaged and to do anything I can to help Paula and to help Sarah and to help any IPC that's out there. That if they reach out to me and need me to do something, I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen.
Hey, John, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I mean, obviously we've been around now for a long, long, long time, right? But I mean, the future of Noni it wasn't the end 20 years ago, right? I mean, Noni is something that is important to everyone's lives. It's not something that goes with the generation. It needs to continue to come in with the new generations and the importance of that there. What do you sort of, how do you feel? I mean, I know how you feel, but like, what would you say for the words of new people that are coming into the Noni industry or the product or?
Well, I think that Tahitian Noni and other products with Noni base are just phenomenal. But my vision has expanded actually over the last few years, and it's expanded into superfoods. And there's so many interesting superfoods. Now, Noni, as I said, is the first superfood in the marketplace, but NewAge really focuses on CBD, right? Mm. And that's a superfood. If you look at the history of that, it's a real superfood. Fish oil, omega-3s are superfoods. These, if you were asked to ask me what the definition of superfood is, I would say it's a natural product full of these actives that bring benefit to people's health. But it's been doing that for centuries. So it's not something that's just you think of today or you create today and it's a superfood. It's been doing this for generations, and Noni certainly was doing that. But I know that NewAge is coming out with they have this new original shot, this little bottle of Noni. I think that's going to be it's a very clever way. And we had those years ago. It was in a miniature Noni bottle, if you remember. That was sort of something that we didn't think that we would keep doing because it was a little expensive to make those little bottles and then to fill them. But they have these little shots that they're putting out there that are Noni based, and the first one is the original. It's the TNJ, but that is just a very clever way to share this product and to get people's interest up. It's still amazing to me how many people have never heard of Noni, even though it's been in the industry for over 20 years, over a quarter of a century it's been in the marketplace. But there's still a lot of people that don't know about it. Maybe their parents knew about it, but they don't know about it. And it's such a great product to bring health to your life. And that's what you want, is a healthy life. You want to live long, but you want to live healthy during that period. And we have the ability to provide that for a lot of people. And I'm really excited about the executive team at NewAge. I'm going to say NewAge. It's really Ariix and NewAge, but I think the umbrella that we're trying to fold it into is NewAge. And the executives really are exceptional in this industry. And so there's going to be some things that come about in the next several months that you'll see that will revolutionize this marketplace that we're in. And that's what we need. We sort of need to do it again. Noni was so great a quarter of a century ago. It was something that had never been done before, and it sort of turned the industry in about face and did something that really brought energy to the industry. I think that NewAge, you'll see that NewAge will do that over the next 6 months to 9 months. You'll see that NewAge will do that same thing again to the industry. And so be ready. And so it's what we want to do is we need to build our business right now and get ready for that, because you'll see it, and it's going to, I believe, revolutionize what this industry is doing and what it's about. But the industry is not only about good health with superfoods, but it's also about external products to make you look good. So the cosmetics that are there, and there's so many great products in this industry. But I think NewAge, and I know, I'm just so confident in the executive team of NewAge that we're going to be able to do this again, but even greater and better and bigger. And it's just going to be so great. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of it. And I know that you are too. Maybe you don't know what I know, so maybe you can't see it yet, but you will know what I know very shortly. But we got to get ready for that.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. It was really well said, John. Thank you. I mean, there's so much that's to come, and I mean, they're calling us the house of brands now under this new age. There's so many good products that eventually we're going to be able to get access to, and like John said, indicating towards just so many good things that are going to come, and we do need to be preparing for that now and getting people in. And these new wellness shots, they're a great way. We're trying to make them affordable for you to be able to use and help just start getting those introductory tools and getting people experiencing Noni or experiencing getting to know you and what you're about to be doing in the future, and be ready to be a part of something that is going to be bigger and better than it ever was, right?
So I can promise you that when we started Mirinda, I knew, I had such confidence that this was going to do well. And you know that it did very well. But I now have greater confidence now that under the banner of NewAge, as you said, with all these brands coming together, and there's more brands that are coming into the family, that it will be so much bigger and greater, and we all need to be a part of it, and we all need to start building now to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, John. Hey, Tony, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask John?
John, we've got the conference coming up in October. Are you part of that conference at all? Will we see you at the conference? And obviously, you've got a bit of an idea of what's happening at that conference. So I suppose you would encourage everyone that's on this call to make sure they've got a ticket.
Well, I have every intention to be there. And yes, there's product announcements that'll be happening then, and the big pieces that the executive team is putting together now is just so huge, but it takes a while to put it together. And I don't think that'll be announced, but you'll probably get some ticklers in that conference and so to be there will be just amazing.
Well, John, I would love to have you back in a couple of weeks, and we can and talk further about your experience and about Noni and what you found. We've already gone over the half an hour mark, and I just think it'd be great to have you back if you want to join us again on a call. And
I'll do it anytime you ask, Tony. I'll be there.
That's fantastic. No, Sarah, look, I think that's fantastic. I think it's a good little video to share with people to open their eyes so they can share the vision of where this company is going, where NewAge is, and people are going to be so excited that John's now part of the team again. We missed him very much, and it's so fantastic to have him part of the team again. So thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Paula.
Thanks, John. Thank you. Loved hearing your story. It was great.
That was
really good. Fond memories.
Excellent.